Okay, the third and final mindset change that I have for you was easily the hardest one for me to make. Okay, so there's three main areas that both me and Nikki and a lot of my coaching clients have to expend a lot of energy in changing their mindset in order to truly change their finances. And that is entertainment, food, and vehicles. Let's go through them. So starting out with entertainment, I don't know about you guys, but I love nothing more than to stuff my belly full of middle class fancy food, and you gotta get the appetizer, then the main meal, then the dessert. You gotta get it all when you're out dropping like $130 on a meal that honestly doesn't even last in your system for the night. I get so crazy about food, I actually once paid $162 for a 9-ounce Wagyu beef steak. It didn't even come with a side, it was just the steak. And it's not just expensive food either. We would rent jacuzzi suites at hotels we couldn't afford, rent expensive cars for the evening for whatever reason. We would wake up in the morning bored and be like,
hey, let's go to the mall.
walk around the mall, drop $500 to $1,000 on designer clothes and electronics and whatever else for really just entertainment purposes. It was just to kill the boredom of a day. This was honestly one of the most challenging mindset changes that we had to make because we were both kind of scared that it meant we were going to lose our quality time with each other if we stopped doing this stuff. I mean, if we're not going to go out for a fancy meal together on our date nights, what the heck were we going to do? Not have a date night and then our marriage suffers? That's not something either one of us wanted. So what it really meant to us was to be creative. Rather than going for a $162 Wagyu beefsteak, what's wrong with getting pizza by the slice and going for a walk in a national park? Or going to a day-use campground area by a lake somewhere and doing a hot dog roast? Another thing we love to do now is to just grab some ice cream and go for a drive through like some sightseeing area, whether it's like a national park or maybe the old part of town or whatever else it might be, whatever's in your area. It's just like a bit of gas doesn't cost a lot if you're not traveling far. Get some ice cream or something like that and away you go. Go and see what's in your local area. So this first mindset change around entertainment was really the way that entertainment interacts with finances. Because we always thought that when we're spending those large amounts of money on this fancy stuff, we were having a better quality time together. We were having better entertainment together. And these things can get really exotic, like weekend trips away to Vegas or cruises or whatever. And we always had this mindset that if we weren't spending, I don't even know that we were thinking about it actively, but it felt like if the more money we were spending, the higher quality of entertainment time and bonding time we were having with each other. And I think that that's probably just how those things are marketed to us, but it's just simply not true. We have just as good a quality time with each other in our relationship, with our family, with our friends, doing things that are budget friendly. And actually, when we do things that are budget friendly with our friends, they rave about it. They love doing it. Finding hobbies on the cheap can be super entertaining. Things like painting or like pottery classes. Nikki went to these things at the local greenhouse where you make little like fairy garden things. I don't know. There's all sorts of things you can do out there as hobbies. I love to do like work with my hands and do little mechanical stuff. So I'll just like buy old wiper motors and stuff off antique cars and rebuild them and sell them online. I mean, it doesn't cost a lot for me to do and it's not really much of an income. It's just a hobby. It's just what I like to do. Me and a couple of guys will get together and just play around in the garage. One more quick tip on entertainment. Buying things online is super entertaining for a lot of people. And one of the quick ways of taking the fun out of that experience is to actually create friction in your online shopping. Friction means like every time you have to take another step to do something, you create friction. As an example, you ever try to buy something online and it's like first you have to make an account, then you have to upload your credit card, then you have to like, I don't know, go into your email and confirm your new account. And like you got all these steps to be able to do something. And by the end of it, you're like, oh, never mind, I'm just not going to do it. That's friction. So if you're one of those online shoppers who just like doesn't intend on buying anything, and the next thing you know, you've put something in your Amazon cart and it's shipping to your house, just create some friction. Go on there and log out of those accounts and make it so that you have to manually log in. Don't remember your password automatically through your phone or computer. Take your credit card or your debit card out of those online stores so that you manually have to put it in every time. If you have to sign into your account and then add your payment plan, you're probably not going to buy most of the crap that you're buying that you don't need just for entertainment purposes. Okay, the second mindset change is food. And here I'm specifically talking about groceries. This was a major one for us. It's unbelievable how much money we spent in groceries. We were like, I think over $1,500 a month when we first look back on our account to see how much money we were spending. And honestly, I don't actually coach people to look back on their finances to see where all their mistakes are. If you're in the middle of trying to clean your crap up, the last thing you want to do is go back and revisit all the mistakes you've made. So don't worry about going back, just worry about moving forward. When it comes to food, shopping is key. Here's my top tips. First of all, don't shop when you're hungry. I suggest actually having a meal before you walk into the grocery store, because if you're anything like me, you will definitely be impulse buying things that you would love to eat right now. Another tip is to focus on buying grains and pasta. Buy some grains that you've never had before, different kind of rices and cereals and rolled barley and oats, and look for different recipes using that stuff, because that stuff is all really cheap. And I know there's like all sorts of dietary issues and allergies and whatnot. A lot of people can't have a lot of grains and pastas and things like that, but just be really creative in that really cheap area of the grocery store with that stuff that's really filling. That was one of the ways that we kept our grocery bill actually down to $500 a month. And we're feeding a household with 5 people in it, 2 of which are teenagers and 2 of which are adults. And we're only spending $500 a month in groceries. Pasta and grains and rice was a huge answer to that. Check out things like lentils and beans. If you look online for recipes with those types of legumes, there's actually a ton of really good recipes out there, and again, they're super cheap to cook with. Another great tip is to shop farm fresh. Literally go online and just like join your little community Facebook group or whatever and put out an ad that you're looking for farm fresh food and just see what's out there. It's amazing how many people have like gardens and they sell meat right off their farm and eggs and chicken and all sorts of stuff that you never even thought of, and they're right there in your backyard. And because they're not going through like a butcher and then a retail store and all of these middlemen, lots of times it's a whole lot cheaper to buy directly from the farm, and arguably healthier, and you're supporting the local market. So like that's a win-win-win-win. Okay, this one crosses over between entertainment and food. Picking from You Pick farm fresh places. I love to get fruit like this. In fact, Nikki and I sometimes go and pick like pears and peaches and stuff like that from the Okanagan up here in Canada, and then can it with honey. Love doing it. Fruit picking is so much fun. It's great for the kids. You can snack a little while you do it. And again, it's just a great cheap way to get fruits and vegetables, which are some of the most expensive things you can possibly buy. Oh, and while I'm talking about fruits and vegetables, run down to the store, grab yourself a couple of cheap plant pots. I almost said pot plants. Grab yourself a couple of cheap plant pots from the dollar store. Get some seeds for like lettuce and radishes and stuff like that, and just start growing them indoors. It doesn't even matter what your climate is. As long as there's sunlight and warmth, you can grow your own vegetables right indoors. We do it lots of times with herbs and vegetables. My final tip on food is to actually split freezer packs or animals with other families. As an example, lots of times me and Nikki were splitting a beef with 3 other families. So we would take a whole cow, get it butchered and cut into quarters, And then each family would get a quarter of beef. Now you're gonna have to save up for a little while to do this. It might take a month or two of like stashing some cash away or selling some stuff around the house so that you can do it, because it'll run you a couple $100 for sure. But a quarter of beef is a ton of meat, and you're gonna pay way less per pound by buying a quarter straight from a farmer or from a butcher than you would to go and buy each of those cuts at the supermarket. It can be a little awkward to like do that if you've never done something like that before, but reach out to a local rancher that you might know, or talk to another family maybe that's done it, or just go down to the butcher shop and ask if they sell a quarter of beef. It can really save you a lot of money. Okay, the third and final mindset change that I have for you was easily the hardest one for me to make. And honestly, for the people that I coach, it's one of the hardest mindset changes for them to make too. And that's regarding our vehicles. When me and Nikki got serious about cleaning up our finances, we realized that we had over $60,000 in vehicles sitting in our freaking driveway, just eating up our money. Vehicles are not an investment, they are an expense. Vehicles, when you buy a new car, the very first year that you own it, it drops by 20% in value. Every year thereafter, it goes down about 10% until it hits its bottom dollar. Now, you don't have to believe me. I'm going to do a whole video series on vehicles, so subscribe and stick with me. If you ever want evidence that a vehicle drops that much as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's easy to do. Go jump in a brand new vehicle, ask to take it for a test drive down the block, go to another dealership and ask what they'll give you for it. You'll soon find that just driving it on a test drive dropped its value by 10 to 20%. Now, I had all these beliefs around my vehicle, just as everyone else does. I mean, you want your vehicle to be safe. You want your vehicle to be comfortable. Your vehicle has to be reliable. These are all real things. The trouble is, when they market vehicles to us, they pretty much convince everyone in our society, just like me, that that vehicle can't be any more than 2 or 3 years old, or else you lose all three of those things. You're going to be at the mechanic all the time. It's not safe for you or your children, and it's not going to be reliable. And that's just not true. I mean, I won't spend a bunch of time trying to convince you, but just look at safety ratings alone. When they rate a vehicle's safety ratings, they're rating how safe it's going to keep you in a car crash. So let's take a vehicle right now has a 5-star safety rating because of its seatbelts and airbags and crumple zones and things like that. Look at a car 5 years ago, had the same safety rating of 5 stars because of its seatbelts and airbags and crumple zones. So if we can pull a Carfax and we know that car hasn't been in an accident, what's changed in those 5 years with those safety features that made it suddenly unsafe? What about a 10-year-old car? Why was it a 5-star safety rating 10 years ago, yet today it's not a 5-star safety rating? Has something changed with the airbags, seatbelts, or crumple zones? Unless it's been in an accident, no. And the truth is, it's just as safe now as it was 10 years ago. It might be a little uglier, but hey, we're not going for looks right now. We're trying to clean up our finances. So look, I work hard, you work hard, I'm a good person, you're a good person. We all deserve to drive nice vehicles. The fact of the matter is though, I don't deserve to have $60,000 worth of cars sitting in my driveway while I'm absolutely flat broke and literally can't afford to put a couch in my living room. And yes, that's a true story. You'll learn more later. So we went super extreme, and I coach a lot of clients who also choose to go extreme. You don't have to, and even if I coach you, you don't have to, but a lot of people go extreme when it comes to vehicle because they realize how much money they have tied up in their vehicle. We went from owning $60,000 in vehicles to about $1,500 in vehicles, and we did that in one shot. We actually went from top level new vehicles down to driving bottom dollar cars, and then over about 18 months we slowly built those vehicles back up to now we're driving a 2-year-old Mazda with like 80,000K on it. And it's everything that I would ever want in a vehicle that I previously would have financed. It's just we paid cash for it now. And the reason that we can do that is because we paid off all of our debt. We got out of vehicle payments, and instead we control where our cash goes instead of it going to vehicle payments and credit cards and other payments. But that's a whole nother video. Now, when it comes to vehicles, I know it gets really tricky because a lot of people owe more money on their vehicle than what their vehicle is actually worth. And that's actually part of the way they market vehicles to us. But I'll go into that in another video. Again, please subscribe. But there is a way to get out of those vehicles and save yourself from those vehicle payments. Because, oh man, once I got out of vehicle payments, it was like I felt like my lungs got bigger and I was actually able to take a deep breath. I made vehicle payments from the age 19 until the age 37. I don't even want to think about how many thousands of dollars I've spent in vehicle payments. Look, if you found this video helpful, of course I want you to like and subscribe. Every YouTuber wants that. But more importantly, I want you to share this video with someone who you would like to take with you on these mindset changes. Let's build a little community of us who are changing our finances, building wealth, healing our marriages, and just changing our absolute future. I absolutely love this stuff. I want to go with you on it. Personal finances are personal, and I do personal finance coaching. If you guys are interested, check out in the comments or the description. I'm going to have a link to a one-on-one consultation there. We'll spend 15 to 30 minutes talking with each other, getting to know each other a little bit, and deciding whether you want to do some one-on-one financial coaching with me. And if not, that's cool too. Just subscribe, share the video. There's more stuff coming. This is just the beginning, so buckle up.